la la. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to John Dudley Speaks. I'm your host, Bernie Sanders. Atlanta native Killer Mike is an undisputed legend and has finally been getting the recognition he deserves, earning his first Grammy Award for Best Rap Album earlier this year. But despite many hollers of who's Killer Mike after his win, we should be very familiar with his legacy at this point. While briefly attending Morehouse College, Mike connected with Outkast rapper Big Boy, eventually leading to his first recording appearance on Snappin' and Trappin' on Stankonia, as well as the Grammy winning The Whole World the next year. Produced by Cool and Dre, Andre 3000, and Mr. DJ, Mike's debut, Monster, came in 2003, and it was a testament to his expertise in delivering grimy southern hip-hop to the masses. The late 2000s brought us I Pledge Allegiance to the Grind 1 and 2, and though both are overlong, each album is a giant love letter to the underground, favoring aggressive flows and wordplay-heavy bars over radio-ready hits. Pledge 3 and Rap Music dropped in 2011 and 2012 respectively, and while the former had stale elements of his usual formula, the latter featured primary production from LP, one of the most underrated rapper-producers in the Brooklyn underground throughout the 2000s. Thus, Run the Jewels was born. From 2013 to the present day, RTJ has been one of the most consistent rap duos of all time, with each installment of their discography consistently being named to the best of the year list each year it's been released. And I don't think I have to say why, because their brand of blistering industrial rap crossed with 90s hip-hop is incredibly unique and thrilling. But as RTJ takes their time to cook up RTJ 5, Killer Mike is back in his solo bag, with last year's Michael digging into a personal perspective lyrically, while also throwing it back to his southern roots. Now just a little over a year later, Mike is back with Songs for Sinners and Saints, an epilogue to the Michael era that is being promoted as a gospel-tinged project, and with that new spin on his current sound, we have yet another record in the W column for Mike, even if it indulges too much in modern pop sensibilities.
Lord have mercy on my soul. How many chickens have I stole?
On its surface, you think that the production suite of Cutmaster Swift, Cuz Lightyear, and Warren Campbell would be leaning too hard into the gospel edge that Mike promises, but make no mistake, you can't take the Dirty South out of this project. Still Talking That Shit, which is a rework from Michael, boasts samples that are undeniably 2000s Atlanta hip-hop, and 97.36 Freestyle benefits from DJ Paul's mid-2000s touches, which also allow for a spacious atmosphere that's both epic and bold, and the Bussin' Bricks intro leverages Mike's RTJ history with bassy industrial synths, kicking off the record with propulsion and vigor. But without the gospel influences here, honestly the album doesn't come together as well sonically. So while I like the aforementioned tracks, I'm just not sure that they fit here. Nobody Knows has a transcendent choir-backed instrumental. There's such as soul influences on the trap-heavy Humble Me, and High Level might be the best example of Mike meshing together his underground roots and ascension into church-inflected musical flourishes. The 10-minute centerpiece on this album, SLUMMER for Junkies, is a masterclass in lyricism, as we'll get to, but I did feel like the repetitive beat did overstay its welcome, yet Mike commands the mic with his words and his performance, so it drowns out the very basic instrumental that backs it. Otherwise, Mike goes all in on the gospel concept and makes it work, leaving us with maybe not his best production aesthetics, but definitely one of his most personal and refined. Like I said, the 10-minute centerpiece, Slumber for Junkies, is lyricism at its finest, and Mike's storytelling is truly captivating, raw, and confessional, harkening back to an Aquemini-ish level of fusing a narrative together, and overall I found it to be extraordinary. He keeps you invested throughout the entire story, so the 10-minute runtime does not lag at any spot, especially when he has such a strong core song idea here. The brag rap across this thing is also very tantalizing and brisk, with Mike's bars not coming off as vengeful or hungry, but just confident and secure. Lord Prepare Me is a stark addition to the track listing as well, providing Mike with a retrospective view that's not as detail-oriented as Slumber for Junkies, and more focused on setting a tone, and it really soars. And Exit 9's Scenic Route is yet another reminder of Mike's recognition of where he came from, and not only that, how far he's been able to come and still affect change. The only complaint that I have with the writing on this project, in my opinion, are the weak hooks. They're often outsourced to R&B artists to complete, and it just kind of takes me out of it. The arrangements are mostly solid, but once we hit those hooks and bridges, losing Mike's voice to go to one that's not nearly as compelling dampens the progression of the tracks. Right from the start with Bus and Bricks intro, Killer Mike shows that he is not messing around, and he keeps that energy throughout the record, mixing it with a wistful tone to his delivery that's emotionally stirring. Again, Slumber for Junkies is terrific, and how Mike is able to maintain engagement throughout every facet of the story is impressive, and shows how much he's still underrated in this day and age. The flows on Lord Prepare Me and Exit 9 are filled to the brim with nostalgia and longing that you can hear in Mike's voice, but then he goes and turns it around on Still Talking That Shit, ready to fully dismantle everyone in his path. I did feel at times that Mike gets comfortable with the flow and keeps hitting it until he beats it into the ground, especially on the trap heavy cuts. It's not a deal breaker, but it does get repetitive, so when he's able to switch up out of that lane and shift into the more gospel tinged tracks where he has a lot more freedom on the beat, he's endlessly thrilling. My biggest hang-up with this record is how it moves along, and that's because the sequencing is a bit awkward. Sandwiching the two longest tracks in the middle of the album back to back felt like an odd choice, and I get it if the aim was for this to be the emotional climax, but honestly it felt like Slumber for Junkies would have worked much better as a penultimate track in the back end. And the closer, Still Talking That Shit, is a great song, but it really doesn't work as a closer. Like, it just doesn't feel right that the last voice that we hear on this emotional, heartfelt record isn't Mike's, but Project Pat's. With some retooling, I could see this being a comprehensive story that's effective and heartwarming even more than it already is. But that's not to say that the pacing isn't stellar in spots, because it is. Nobody Knows through Exit 9 is suitably killer, with its titanic flows and engaging stylistic choices plopping us into Mike's perspective. And the placement of Lord Prepare Me is admittedly great, just would prefer that it got the chance to stand alone without the looming presence of Slumber for Junkies right after it.
I remember them days, making minimum wage. I was trying to maintain. Look how far I done came. Pop champagne for the pain. I'm campaigning for change. All the progress we made, bigger things on the way. With my 69.5 bird from the curb.
Yeah, this is once again a great solo record from Killer Mike, rounding out his latest era with a tour de force of growth and reflection, while giving us what will undoubtedly be the best gospel-influenced rap that we'll see this year. But hey, that's just my perspective. If you're a Killer Mike fan, we got another album to celebrate. And if you're in need of a personal rap album in a year that's full of bigger, more maximal ideas, then this one is for you. Alright, that's all I got. Bye!